Welcome. My name is Mauricio Garcia, and you are going to experience a episode today on the Conquistador Podcast that is going to open your eyes. It's going to expand your vision as to what is necessary to achieve the things that what it takes to achieve greatness when building a business. Today we're going to talk about why is it critical to build systems around the business that you're creating to be able to build it at a serious scale. And you know that this is the podcast, the only podcast on the internet, really, that is committed Monday through Friday right now to bring you information not from people that have just read it somewhere, but somebody that has been there and done that. As you know, my friend, my partner, my mentor, Hubert Humphrey, has built 2 multi-billion-dollar market cap companies, and he's sharing those secrets with us today. So it is truly a pleasure for me. It's a blessing for me. It's a great opportunity to be able to be on this podcast with him. So please listen in. Hubert, with that being said, I salute you, sir. How are you today?
I salute you. Glad to be here with you, Mauricio. It's always good here. We're right here on Tuesday, looking to do something great, share some great things with people, and I love this subject about systems here that you brought up, and to me, if you're going to build any successful business, you've got to have things systematized. If you were Henry Ford starting what became the Ford Motor Company, and to kind of revolutionize the manufacturing of cars in a mass production way, and literally made it where it was automobiles were accessible to the masses. Automobiles were already invented, but very few people could afford them, very few people could manufacture them, and so just a few people had automobiles. But he comes along and he sets up his automobile manufacturing format system, that whole assembly line process where everything was scalable. Every piece of the car, putting it together was sequentially outlined and systematically outlined, and it was all scalable. It was predictable. It was profitable. It was foolproof, and it revolutionized how cars are made. And even today, all across the world, automobiles are manufactured off that same basic model with just more technology. And so you got to have a system. I don't care what it is. If it's Ray Kroc in McDonald's, the secret of McDonald's, they were revolutionizing the hamburger business, the fast food business. They've revolutionized how to go out and purchase real estate and all that kind of stuff. But the only reason why we even talk about a Ray Kroc in McDonald's was because he brought in a revolutionary business franchise format system, and it literally made it something where when entrepreneurs would want to come and invest and become a franchise owner, it was very predictable and foolproof and profitable for them because everything that would work. It had a much better chance of working. So if I'm asking you to invest your money in me, the more predictable it looks, the more guaranteed it looks, the more systematic it looks, the more predictable it looks, you're probably going to feel better about investing with me. And so anything needs a system. Even football teams, the great Vince Lombardi back in the day, and then the Bill Walsh out with the 49ers and their dynasty, and then you look at Bill Belichick and the great dynasty for 20 years up there with the New England Patriots. They have systems. You just plug and play. Different players come in, good players, great players, but it was a system. And it just makes things much more predictable. And the only reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today is because I've been a product of systems. I'm a system-made guy. The wealth I've built is system-made wealth. The leaders that we've been able to produce over the years are system-made leaders. All the great production we've produced in insurance for many, many different companies and the millions and millions of clients that we've helped was system-built wealth, system-built solutions. You got to put the word system by. In fact, my initials are S. Hubert Humphrey. I reckon that stands for system. I reckon I was born with that S for system. But it's all about system. System is the key, and anyway, I know you've got some other parts you want to talk about there, but the system. If you don't have a system, you're not going to get big. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing I want people to to take from the podcast today is that if you don't have a system in place and you're trying to build anything, you can't expect to build it in big scale without one. And Hubert has the moral authority, I think is the only person in our planet today, because he's the only person in history who's revolutionized the biggest industry in the world, which is the financial industry, by having a system. He always mentioned it. Am I wrong? I mean, that's the one thing that saved you from yourself. That's the one thing that help you, I guess, overcome any flaws or maybe a lack of a certain skill or knowledge, is just following a system that other people could replicate.
Absolutely. In fact, the one of the great business books out there was the E Myth, the capital E Myth, MYTH, and by Michael Gerber, and that he's had a lot of sequels to that book and everything. I'm not even here talking. I'm just talking about that original book was the key, because he had one of the great quotes in there was, he said, for ordinary people to do extraordinary things, a system or a quote-unquote way of doing things was required to compensate. I like this, to compensate for the lack of ability that you have right now, the skills you haven't developed yet, the knowledge you don't have, the finances you don't have, all the things that success demands that you don't have when you're starting out. That system compensates for all of that. And like you said, it saves you from yourself. And when our phrase is to build leaders and teams will come. Mm-hmm. But in our business, while we can take greenies, we can take a new person that we recruit today, and if they'll follow the steps on this system here, this simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and start executing it. In fact, you'll notice if you look at our sheet here, it's got prospecting, contacting, presentation, follow-up, startup, duplication, all those steps. But up under each one of it says leader, leader, leader. A leader is going to put through there somebody that's just going to be pushing you to use the next step. And you put your right foot in front of your left foot, in front of your right foot in front of your left foot, and just keep doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it takes new people, causing them to do the steps that success demands you do sequentially in the next sequence. If you prospect, then you got to contact them. If you contact them, you got to hopefully make an appointment or get them to a presentation. And then when you do one of those, you got to follow up. And then you got to. So everything has a continuation to it. It creates continuity from the start of the success process to the end of it to get the results that you want. And then it's just. Then it's just making sure that you repeat it over and over. And I don't care if you're a skilled person or if you're an inexperienced person, the system is blind to all that. You do the steps that you got to do. And a brand new person today, a greenie, can be a leader in our business because the minute the real leader is the system. And if you go line up with it and follow it, you become a co-leader with the system. And I always tell people that I've got the same boss that they do, so don't get mad when I say you got to do these things, because success made me do it. Success is my boss. And success goes by an alias called the leadership format system. And if you'll partner with that system, that success system, you immediately are a leader as compensated. And now you're going to end up building a lot of knowledge and all as you just get it by doing it. But in the beginning, the system is all embedded in it. You don't have to do it. So that's how we've been able to get so big in one of the toughest industries in the world, the largest industry in the world, and one of the most valuable, powerful industries and profitable industries in the world, and most important to the consumer industries in the world, highly regulated industries in the world. We've been able to take greenies and bring millions of them through it because of this system, and revolutionize, build these great companies and build great wealth for families and certainly for the entrepreneurs who've joined with us. And it was all because of system.
Yeah, well, sometimes things could be right in front of us and we fail to see. Hopefully today's episode helped anybody who still hasn't maybe stopped and look around and looked at every successful company, whether that is an auto company, a cell phone company, a good financial company. They all have systems that they rely on. And if they have those systems, obviously it plays into the whole valuation because it's going to be a predictable growth and everything. But I wanna dive deep into your system, because I think, if I'm not mistaken here, HCI is a leadership building company, but it's a sales organization that is really distributing financial solutions to the consumer. And to build a sales organization, you've got to have what you call that assembly line, that system. And yours began with prospecting. Let's elaborate, on that first part of the system and prospecting. Why is that the number one thing in this assembly line to build a good sales organization?
Well, the raw material that we're building our teams out of is human beings, and a human being is that's another name for prospect. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a prospect, you have nobody to contact, and if you don't make a contact, you have nobody to present to. If you have nobody to present to, there's no follow-up, and ultimately there's no leader popping out at the end producing business. So a prospect is everything. I started my career, I was a prospect on somebody's list who approached me. Mm-hmm. Everybody is a prospect on somebody's list. And Art Williams was a prospect on his cousin who was a CPA, his list. And so everybody, all my great superstars that we've built over the years, they were prospects on somebody's list. So it all starts with prospecting. And then, of course, how do you approach somebody and how you contact somebody? Well, we want to make sure the system has got a leader matched up with that person to avoid scenarios of disaster. We don't want new people representing the company, speaking to people out there and saying something and causing them to ask questions and they can't answer it right, and the other person's jumped to the wrong conclusion and they both end up over there in the ditch. Who cares about that? Our system protects the public, because we make sure that only way somebody's going to be talking to them is either that new person. That new person might lead us to you, might refer us to you, but there'll be somebody that's skilled talking to you about the opportunity, or certainly sitting down talking to you. They'll be licensed and trained. Now, a new person might have introduced them to you, but the licensed, trained person, the new professional or veteran professional, whatever they are, is going to be making and presenting the solutions to you and closing the sales, because we deal by the regulations. Yep. So it's just a system. It's just a better system to bring people in than most of all these systems that you see out there that bring people into our industry. And it's not a get rich quick scheme. There's people that can get rich in here, but I don't know any of them that get rich quick. There is no something for nothing here. You got to put out a lot of effort. You got to stay with this thing and work hard at it.
Put in the work. Put in the work. Put in the work. Now, the reason that I wanted to elaborate on your system, which is the prospecting, contacting, presentation, follow-up, initiation, startup, duplication, is that a lot of people that go into business or sales, they jump right into presentation, like it's just being a great presenter and learning your product, which you got to do, but it's not the most important thing. You first need the raw material. So that the way that you systematize this thing, because these 6 steps you have in the system, you could put them in different order, and it doesn't work that way. It's got to be like prospecting really is the pinnacle here, probably the most important. Well, I don't know if it's the most important. You can correct me if you feel I'm wrong here. But without it, as you just said, none of the other steps are really going to matter that much if you have nobody to contact, right? If you don't do the prospecting, you got nobody to contact.
The great thing about our system, let's say Mauricio, you're a greenie. You've never been in business before. You've never been in financial services before, and we're recruiting you today. We're going to look at we're going to sit down and ask you to do something you probably have never done before. Most people, in most situations, unless you've been a salesman somewhere, most people have never had to have a prospect list. They don't know what that. I've lived my whole life. I've worked here. I worked on the railroad 17 years. They never asked me for a prospect list. I mean, it's just most people never. So what we do is we just find out who do you know, and we help capture those names, qualify them, and then from there. As those people get recruited, then we're going to get their prospect list. And now all of a sudden, Mauricio, you've now got let's say you got 10 good people on your prospect list, and all of a sudden three new people are recruited for you in your downline, and they've each got prospect lists that we work with, and they each got 10. All of a sudden you got 40 people working for you, and then all of a sudden they've got 10 each. then you got what you got there. You got 120, whatever. It just geometrically growing. So you started. So if I was bringing you into the traditional business, I'd be bringing you in there to get you highly trained as quickly as possible, put you in a territory. Most guys in the traditional industry today are kind of lazy. They burn out their prospect list a long time ago. They've been in insurance business for 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They can't go to the market anymore. So they have to go buy these leads and go through these lead systems and do all these gimmicky things for leads. That's a different model. Here we're able to do now. Not that we don't have the capabilities of lead, and we've got social media and all that kind of stuff. The number one thing is that what is it that we're bringing you into the business, or that you're wanting to accomplish. If you coming in just to make a little extra money and all you really want to do is learn how to sell, and that's just you've been dying to be an insurance salesman, well, we're going to help you become one. But most people don't follow that. Most people would like to, if they knew they could have a team and some other people, they could make overrides. Once they understand that concept, they're going to say, that's where the bigger money comes, not just off my efforts, but off the efforts of a lot of other people. And we allow you to build a team within our company, a business within a business. So it just depends upon what a person wants to make this thing happen. But it's a unique system that allows people to come in. One thing I want to say about this whole thing here, because the system makes everything constant. It makes it repetitious. The same kind of system that we started 40 plus years ago in A.L. Williams, the same company, the system we're building today now, it's the same system. I'm Hubert Humphrey, the same guy, same system. But, for example, prospecting. Back in the day, there was no internet. There was no social media. There wasn't any Monster.coms or Craigslist or Indeeds to go out and put ads and get resumes. You didn't have that. Somebody could go put something in a local classified newspaper in a local city or town and maybe try to get a lead. But most of it was all natural market. I recruit you, and everybody had a natural market. And since they were all green, they'd never burned out their market. So we just went relationship cooking to race. It was a friendship borrowing system. It was a beautiful model. It still is a beautiful model today. But the point I'm going to take, our system is timeless. Those 6 steps you just mentioned are timeless. It's just today we have over the years different tools are invented. We have computers and laptops and smartphones. We have social media. We have the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Instagrams and all those things that you can reach out if you know what you're doing, and you can get people. And all that is prospecting. It's still number one.
Right.
It's just how did the prospects get to number one? So the tools and the technology have increased the power of number one, and even the contacting of people, number two, where used to you just have to either go knock on their door or you'd have to pick up a phone and call them. Now you can text them, you can WhatsApp them, you can do all kinds of different things that you can send them video links. You had to hand them a video, but when we started, there were no videos. But in the beginning, all we had was a little cassette tape. Then we all of a sudden we had a little beta tape, but then a VHS tape, and then next thing you know, it's all digitized. We went from discs and CDs and DVDs to now it's all digitized. But it was all still in steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just the tools of getting prospects, the tools of contacting prospects, and even the presentations where you had to either sit down at the kitchen table with somebody, or they had to come to a meeting you were holding physically. Now you can do it by Zoom. You can do it like we're doing here. And the tools and technology changed the way you did some of those steps, but the steps in the system never changes.
Right, which is to keep it systematic. There was an epiphany that I had right now, and I want to make sure that everybody listening caught that, because even though there are these new technologies, these new distribution channels for attention, YouTube, you mentioned TikTok, Facebook, and all the others. There is something that is comes naturally when somebody does the exercise of creating a prospect list, which I agree 100%. Most people haven't done that in their lifetime. And if you're starting a business, that is the most logical place to start, right? Because if you're going to do something where you know you're going to add some value, why would you keep your close ones, out of it? And the one thing you have by doing that natural list is that there's trust in there, which is something that it takes time to build on social media. It's not because you'll just post something on social media for contacting means somebody trusts you right off the bat. And you do have that when you're doing friendship borrowing. So again, we speak about having a system and focusing on prospecting and in staying committed to learning all the arts and forms and ways to make sure that you get the most amount of prospects and leads is by really mastering that part. And then the rest of the things really come in a little easier, because contacting, you just said it, becomes a lot easier today by using email, by using video, by using just simple links that people can share, get educated. And the presentation, I would say that I would argue that those that are really good at prospecting and following a system like this, where they have consistent, they're dedicated, they're committed to stay in the prospecting, they will eventually master the presentation, because they'll be doing it so many more times than somebody who's maybe just learning the presentation but doesn't put the same amount of effort in the prospecting part of it.
Well, I know one thing. If it's like old Forrest Gump would have said if he was in this business, professional is as professional does. And I know one thing, if I'm a little greenie and I get into business with us and I go out and make two contacts, two presentations a week, and you got a highly professional guy over in the industry over here who goes out and makes 10, 15, or 20 a week and burning himself out. But I recruited 4 or 5 people who recruited 3 or 4 who recruited 3 or 4, and I've got 100 or 200 people just somewhere down in my downline that the system's helped me develop, and they're all making 2 each. That 300 or 400 presentations, and I'm only making 2 a week, but we're making 300 or 400 a week with all these other people. That's a whole lot more effective than that one guy killing himself making 20.
Well, that's deeper paradigm. Yes. Yeah.
So that's what the system. That's what the system does. That's what it causes you to be able to get a serious scale. That was a secret. That's why A.L. Williams was able to beat Prudential. That's why it was able to dominate the industry. That's why World Marketing Alliance was able to beat Prudential, dominate the industry in a whole more powerful product. The products and the insurance companies changed and grew into different kind of products, but the system never changes. The technology never changes. One thing that I found in this high-tech world is that things move so fast. As Mauricio, you know this because you're involved in it heavily. But if you don't really have a lot of discipline, the speed of technology can cause you to not stay at something long enough to get the repetitions, because you got to go move to the next technology, because while you were trying to do this one, something new just got created, something new got created, and people that are good at technology, which is a great thing, it's hard for them to have a lot of repetitions, because the technology world won't let you do the repetitions.
Right.
And so I'm never going to get deep into technology. I mean, I'm going to be a master of using it. I'll get a ton of people out there that are like the Mauricios and people smart about stuff doing it. They can do what they want to do, but we're going to stay with the system. I'm just going to use their tools to keep the traditional system going, because you got to stay focused. It's the rapid, relentless repetitions of a simple system that cause you to be successful, regardless of who all's doing the technologies of each one of the components in that system.
Great point. And I think that it is timeless. There's a lot of human nature, right? A lot of things in the human nature that are there forever. It doesn't matter how the technology evolves. Humans are going to be humans, and our nature is going to be there. It's been there for millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Well, maybe people could debate that, how long humans been on Earth, but you get the point. So the bottom line, guys, if for those of you that are on this podcast, bottom line is that we need a system to be able to build something at a serious scale. And if you are someone right now who's looking for a vehicle that can take you from where you are now to where you want to go, and I mean the kind of lifestyle you want to experience, the type of things that you want for your family, to be able to really take yourself to its maximum potential, you're going to need a system. And rather than building one, if you have never done something like that, why not join one? And why not join the one system that is proven to not just produce the most successful leaders and builders in an industry, making millions and millions of dollars. Imagine being able to master the industry in sales, because you've heard it many times probably that the highest paid career, if you do it right, is the sales. And not just sales, but do it in the financial industry. And not just in the financial industry, but do it with a system that has created the most millionaires in it. Well, that's why I invite you to check out the HGI opportunity. The Hegemon Group International, the company sponsoring this podcast, go check them out right now by going to hgiopportunity.com. It's a very simple website name to remember, hgiopportunity.com, so that you can listen what the opportunity is about, what is the vehicle that we're talking about, learn about the system, and how that is the one opportunity you do not want to miss to go and really make the best next 10, 20 years of your life happen. So Hubert, as always, I want to thank you so much for sharing all this value with us, and can't wait for tomorrow's podcast, sir.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.